Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Navigating Mental Health Stigma. I'm Lisa and I'm here with Alicia today. Um, we're actually going to talk about social media and mental health because we feel that this is something that has changed the mental health of a lot of people. It's actually brought out a lot of depression over the years. And it's brought out a lot of younger suicides as well as adult suicides. And I feel like this is just something that we often avoid talking about. So we've discussed it a little bit after watching The Social Dilemma on Netflix. And now we actually want to discuss it with you guys. So I know that our biggest thing that we were talking about with The Social Dilemma is the mental health stigma that revolves around social media. But I want to know, like, when you wake up in the morning, Alicia, what's the soonest you end up going onto social media?
Pretty quickly. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I
I feel
mean, within the hour of waking up,
right? So like I like
Yeah,
roll over and I grab my phone, and I realized at the beginning of this year that it's such a bad habit that I have. Like I have an addiction to social media. And I would
right.
like roll over, grab my phone, go online, and I can see that my mom's already been online too, so I know she
Right.
does the same damn thing. I'm like, point at you, mom. Um, but I feel like I saw that at the beginning of 2020, that I spent a lot of time going on social media and seeing a lot of like my friends that I started doing modeling with years ago succeeding or doing better. And I've always been really supportive of my friends. Like when you guys do something really cool, and like post it, share it, like always. But at the same time, I feel like in a way it's kind of made me a little bit more negative about myself. Like, why am I
Maybe
not
more
doing that good?
self-conscious.
Even though I was
Hmm.
retired at the beginning of this year, I never really, or beginning of last year, I never really acknowledged how much it affected me emotionally, that was destroying myself
Hmm.
or not being as successful, or successful in a different way than what you guys were doing. And I feel like it's such a bad thing, but I feel like it's way more common than I even realized.
Yeah, it almost causes this weird pressure and anxiety to do other stuff. And other people, though, that's what the problem is too. You see other people's just snapshots of what they're doing. So it looks great, and it's just this small view of their reality. And we know that now that we've known each other.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's what we do, but we're not, now we're doing this and talking more about our real lives, but it's not something we've ever hid from each other.
No, it's crazy because it does. Yeah, social media allows people to have the perfect life online, where you see the cars, you see the bikinis, you see the yachting, you see all of these great, I'm traveling the world and doing all this fun stuff. And you never actually see all of the people who are severely depressed or really ready to open up about what is eating them up inside. And
Right.
I feel that when I started experiencing my losses in 2016, I became more forward to people about how I felt. Instead of just portraying something positive on social media, I started portraying the the sadness in my life, and like allowing people to see that being in pain is not a place you have to be alone. And I realized, like, I used to have, I think, 8,000 followers or something, which
Hmm.
really isn't a lot compared to a lot of,
A lot of people, though,
Instagram models,
right?
you know what I mean? But I was never an Instagram model. I was like a model before Instagram.
Yeah,
It's like a different, it wasn't based
a
on
different
followers.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different world. So having 8,000 was a lot, but when I started opening up about this sadness and opening up about that I could feel pain, or that bad things could happen in other people's lives and not just my own, uh,
Hmm.
I lost a good amount of followers. Like, I think I'm down to 6,000 now, and I realize how many people are really focused on, if you don't have something positive to portray in somebody's life, they don't want it around. And
Right.
that's part of the bad stigma that revolves around mental health. That's why people don't talk, you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of like what we've spoken about before, even in relationships, personal, business, friendships. If it's negative, all of a sudden they just run away or they don't want to talk about it, or you lose followers on Instagram. And that movie or that documentary spoke about that, and how that's why it's so bad, because
You base your life on likes and
yeah,
followers.
they said something like your behavior is your perception. And I was always taught that perception is reality. And I'm a really private person, so it's so hard for me to post the real life stuff. And just because I keep things private, um not from you, but from the public and from social media, some stuff to me is just, it could be helpful to some people, but I'm not ready to share everything. But social media was a big deal for like self-conscious and not being insecure. Both of us have kind of been through times where we've been in relationships that make us insecure. And I started modeling because I had gained all that weight and then lost a ton of weight, but was getting no recognition in the ways I wanted. And social media is there, and it's like, oh yes, let's get pretty and take pictures, and I'll get the self-confidence back. So it's not been a career for me. It was always just like I needed, or I wanted to help keep my self-confidence up.
Right. You
you
want to
know
recognition, like just self-love, which self-love is so much deeper than just, getting pretty and taking pictures. But
right.
I think I marketed so much with women as a woman photographer that, will get you pretty for a day and will take pictures. And it does make the women that I worked with as a photographer really feel gorgeous at the end of the day, and when they get their pictures back, and I like to help women feel that way. But I also think that because of social media, people rely so much on pictures to make themselves feel that self-love and
Right.
self-acceptance instead of finding it in other things in our everyday lives.
Yeah, and that's why I don't do it so much anymore. Like I said, it's never been something for a career to me, but more, and that's why I just do it very rarely now, and for things I believe in, like fitness or whatnot. But I can't hang in that world anyways.
Right.
It is just like, it's social media, real life. It's such a competition, and social media is such a competition, and everyone all of a sudden becomes someone else in order to feel some, you know, feed their ego
Yeah, it's so hard to
and
find
impress
people.
whoever will be impressed. I don't know. It's stressful. I don't know. I was sucked into it for a long time, obviously, like most of us.
And I think once we got sucked in, because with modeling, it became such a huge part of it. I started modeling when I was 17, and this
Mm.
was, like MySpace days, it's not
Yeah.
even,
I loved
it wasn't
MySpace.
even Facebook, it was
Mhm.
MySpace days. And MySpace, you went to your space and you filled things out and you did like your own little questionnaires, or you did things and posted
Right.
poems or how you felt about your feelings, and people responded to that. They
Hmm.
absolutely loved seeing the real of each other. And I
Hmm.
really loved MySpace for that purpose, but it was also the beginning of that social media section, you know what I mean? And back when I started, I used Model Mayhem a lot to get so much work. And this was before Model Mayhem is what it is today. I really don't trust what it is today.
Right.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of weirdos on there that take advantage of a lot of pretty girls. Um,
Right.
and it's kind of disgusting now. But when I started, like, I found jobs for like Wet Republic, which was at the MGM, and it's a club there. And I got booked for one of their jobs with like two girls from Ford as the main girls, and then I was the third main. And the two girls from Ford didn't even show up. And then when I was there, they're going, well, our main girls aren't here, therefore you're going to be one of the main girls now, or just like the main instead of just one of the three. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool, I guess. And they would always compliment me on how I looked like my pictures, because a lot of the girls they never hire, or they would hire from agencies, never look like their pictures.
Right.
And it was such a trip to hear all these things being a model with Model Mayhem. And then it progressed into social media, like influencer modeling. And you got to have like, I don't know, 10,000 followers or more to get booked for jobs, and you have to have an Instagram. So therefore, our addiction to social media really started because it was part of our job description, like, we have to post every day and we have to get people to follow us because our posts are there. And it was so overwhelming to me when I turned like 28 that I was just kind of over it, like, I don't want to model anymore, so I'm gonna go get my tattoos done and I'm gonna call it quits and tell everybody I'm retiring. And I did go get tattoos, and then people were like, hey, you're super edgy now, like, let's book you for this. And I'm going, wait, what the fuck, like, I wanted to retire, people. So I did it for 2 more years and then retired. And with the retirement, I noticed my addiction to social media. Like I said at the beginning of this year, I would still wake up every morning, and the first thing I did was go on Instagram, go on Facebook, and respond to people. And I said, I need to stop. And I remember messaging my sister about it, going, Hillary, like, I think I have a problem. I need to know, when is the first time that you wake up, or after you wake up in the morning, do you go on to social media? And she's like, I don't know, I maybe go on like once a day.
Wow.
Going, yeah. Okay, so my addiction to it it's bad. Like, I told her, I was like, I wake up and I go on. And she's like, I think you have a problem. Like, I think I have a problem too. So I just disappeared, I think, from social media completely for 3 or 4 months. I even told people, like, hey guys, you're not going to find me on here, so you might as well text me. And then when I went back, it wasn't as bad. But now that we're doing something that takes social media to promote, I feel like I'm back on it again. And like I said, it's first thing in the morning. I wake up, grab my phone, start going on Instagram, and I'm like, no, I need to stop again. So I don't know, like, what to do or how to make myself stop when I know that I need it for what we do.
I know, and it's become, I don't watch TV, right? I watch Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, or whatnot. But using Instagram or Facebook, it's almost replaced that, and I'm just scrolling through, being nosy, and most of us are, which is why there's reality TV and magazines and gossip news and things like that, because we're so curious about each other's lives. Probably why we're doing this too, right? Other people are curious, and we talk to each other to help each other out.
Yeah, we're curious about what other people do to fix the problems that we have mentally, or to not fix it, but handle it.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the documentary touched on too. It's just been taken advantage of, like most things eventually are. People use social media to be so deceiving and malicious that it's so negative, and it's hard to maneuver through, which is why I don't even promote any type of anything, because I don't need social media to be an obligation to my life when, like you said, we've already committed so much time, or we do commit so much time every day of our lives to be on some type of social media platform. And it becomes exhausting and overwhelming to be connected to so many people at once, and I'm the type of person too, I want to reply to everyone. I want to make sure everyone's acknowledged, and you just want to stay in touch and not ignore anyone, because that becomes a thing too, so it creates
a lot of on social media, I'm going to block them.
Yeah, and then you get creepers who you have to block, and then you get mean people who you gotta block, who just don't mind their business. So it's a good and bad thing. You just have to be cautious and use it properly,
I love
right?
that the social dilemma mentioned our brains are not fully ready to handle the amount of power that social media has brought. And it's true, because you mentioned like there's so many friends that we can keep in contact with, and it's like everybody at once, and that's really overwhelming to think about. Like, if I had a party with everybody on my friends list, it'd be a huge fucking party, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be just a small amount of people to run around and say hi to in an evening. It'd be so overwhelming. I wouldn't be able to reach everybody in an evening to say hello, you know?
Yeah, and for people like us who are so caring, it's like I'm on there mostly also to support people or to make sure we're keeping up with each other's lives, and that becomes exhausting and overwhelming too, because now that's why we try to keep in contact with everyone, because we can see everything going on in each other's lives. Sometimes it's implied now with memes or poems or whatnot, so we're involved completely in each other's lives through social media if you choose to participate, right? Like you said, your sister is not really on there. My brother and his wife, they hardly ever go on social media or post on there or even look on there. Some people just use it to look. They're like ghost social media
Yeah.
scrollers, just to stay up with their entertainment gossip.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and then the algorithm thing tripped me out, right? Because I have mentioned algorithms to my brother for years, and I said it blows my mind that the people that I used to see post, I would see everybody's post immediately, and I loved seeing when somebody posts and what they post, because it was on time and it was about whatever it was that person was going through at that very moment. And now
right.
it's based on algorithms, so you're going to see more of what they know you're going to stop and read, and that just blows my freaking mind. That it's reached this point, because I have so many extremists from both sides constantly posting, and I notice this like all the time. But I think too, I Google search everything. I don't just research one side or the other, or I'm not like, especially with like politics, I'm not left or right. I truly believe in voting for the lesser of two evils. I truly believe in researching everything. I'm not the kind of person who just believes one input of what's put into my head. As a kid, I was taught to study, I was taught to research everything.
To
And
learn.
I have always been a nerd, and my mom calls me a nerd all the time. Like, I may not look like a typical nerd or whatever, but I have always been a total nerd, and I love to research everything, and I love to know that if I'm going to believe in something, I believe in it because I believe in it. And if I'm going to promote something, I'm going to promote it because I believe that we can benefit as a human race because of this change. And I feel like because of all that research, Facebook kind of doesn't know what to do with me. They're like,
Yeah.
we can't just give her one side or the other. We got to give her everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I always see super extremists, and like on their stuff, their support, their friends who are exactly like them are all responding. So then when I make one little post, I have both sides attacking on mine and like attacking each other. And it gets so brutal. But it's because I research, and I think I totally fucked with Facebook's algorithm because of my research.
Yeah. No, and that's just a way for them to manipulate information because of all the back and forth that everyone is able to do because of social media
Yeah.
and all the craziness going on in the world. Everyone's stuck at home, and now everyone's on social media commenting, reading, debating, arguing instead of researching. We should all be doing that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really have an opinion or belief if you don't know why. which is insane. But that's why I try to stay off of it, because to protect my mental health, it's too overwhelming. It's all so negative. People are rude to each other. The golden rule of let's not really talk about politics, money, or religion has gone way out the window if you
Yeah.
can't do it politely and respectfully. People just don't tolerate each other, and then they judge each other through social media based on these beliefs and opinions that they have, instead of just minding their business. And that creates all of these types of different mental health problems too. Some people look at all of the, chaos and violence that's going on because of ideas.
Right.
And they're being brought to action through social media. You have meetups. People who are peacefully protesting are being interrupted by other people who are trying to use these social media platforms to manipulate it and have their own agenda.
Right.
So it's something that's our whole world, most of the world seems to revolve around. It's a good way to stay connected and informed. But like you said, you have to do the research to fact check, because anyone can put anything and manipulate almost anything nowadays online.
Right. There was one thing that, like, oh gosh, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was like Tristan Harris or something. He had mentioned that there's like the fake news on Twitter is like delivered 6 million times faster than real news. And I was kind of mind blown by this number, because there are so many people in politics and the entertainment industry that use Twitter. I am not a Twitter user. Like, I have Twitter. I think I have it linked to my Instagram because Instagram is like my main use of social media. So everything that I post on Instagram goes there, and it seems like I'm active, but I'm not. So the fact that these people utilize Twitter as a way to spread false information and people just believe it, like, it blows my mind. Like, you can't believe everything that you see, and everybody just assumes because it's news on their channel or it's news on their screen in front of them that it must be real. And we really have to start researching that, because the more that we believe these things, the more that we are controlled, the more that it separates us from each other, the more that it makes us violent toward each other. Like, we don't need all the violence that we have in this world right now. We have turned politics into violence with each other. We have turned social media into violence, of a way to attack people. And it's such a sad thought to know that there's so many younger girls and boys who have committed suicide because of the bullying that goes on through social media. And I think social media has created a whole new level of bullying. And it's so heartbreaking to know that what I went through as a kid, because I got bullied, and my mom would tell me all the time, if they're being mean to you, it's because they're jealous. And I would really hold on to that. So when I went to school, like, if the girls were being mean, I would tell myself, Mom's right, like, this isn't gonna last forever.
Right.
I can go home and I could escape it. And now these girls and boys, they go home and they can't escape the bullying because of the social media trolling. You know what I mean? These bullies at school are now just willing to attack anywhere. And that's, it drives me nuts, because I want that to stop so bad. And I think social media, the owners of these corporations of Instagram and Facebook, they have the ability to change the algorithms to fix that and stop it from happening, and they're not doing it. And it's causing a bigger mental health issue in the world.
Right. And it's a way to even kind of monitor people's mental health. There's been many signs of some of these school shootings or other crimes being broadcasted on Facebook Live, signs of these types of things. And like you said, they change the algorithms and they manipulate things for the wrong reasons. But that's the world we live in. That's the society that's being created. It used to be about, girls in magazines and this and that. And now it's girls on Instagram, buff dudes on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that stigma of how you're supposed to look is still around, if not gotten worse, because it's so readily available every time you open your phone, and you're following people who are posting the best snapshots of their lives,
Yeah,
I don't know, it's
it's overwhelming.
it is, and it's stressful because you can't get through to some people. That's just how they are, and they feed into it themselves, and they just wait on it, and this whole slide into my DM, and just the society that's been created to be appropriate, the type of behavior like they were speaking about, and for it to be just so widely accepted, instead of conversations like this and talking about things that can help and change people. It's like, no, let's just deceive each other and lie to each other and be mean to each other, and it doesn't get stopped. And it could, but then that wouldn't serve whoever runs all these, wouldn't serve their purpose.
Right. And I honestly don't believe, like they mentioned, I don't think that was their initial thought, was let's control the nation with all of these algorithms and things. I think their initial thought was let's connect people.
No, and it's also like, let's make big money. There's people who are running these social media platforms. It's not like it's a non-profit.
No.
These are
we get
meant
money by
to
sending us
make money.
advertisements, and the
Right,
algorithm.
and then and they spoke about it. It's to change your psychology of, well, I see all of these influencers. You have Fashion Nova, and everyone's buying from them and posting, hoping they can be some ambassador to some company on Instagram based off followers and buying their product. And so it's changing this whole idea, and they did it on purpose, like they spoke about in the documentary, that it was the best way to manipulate people to buy products, services.
Spend money.
They're fueled by advertisers. It's not free. It's free to us to use, but that's why it's so manipulated with information, and what our idea of what should be on there is, so ultimately they can make money. Even businesses who use it for a business account.
PPC, that's called pay per click. So each time an advertisement pops up and we click it, they get X amount of money because we have now clicked and gone to that site to check things out. And then if we buy more, they get some sort of percentage from that too, I believe.
Right. So money makes the world go round. And doing so, you have to control how people think. So you control what they buy and how much they buy of it. Amazon is a billion trillion dollar company, and things just, it's the way we live. And most people are just loving the way that it's convenient instead of maybe ethical reasons, but that's just the way of life too. I can go on a whole rant of stuff like that, because it comes down to, people are so unethical or so thoughtless and so careless that it creates bigger problems for people who have mental health struggles.
Right.
Most people already have some type of mental health illness, or it runs in the family, or something in your life that you experienced created you to have PTSD or anxiety, or some sort of challenge that now you're living with. And this creates a whole new avenue of worsening those problems instead of addressing them. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is to help people navigate through that while using it as a tool to connect to so many people.
I think the best thing that you can do if you do struggle, which is something that I've done on many occasions, is block people. I know that I've removed people from friends lists, and that's one thing, but there's other places where you actually have to block people. And I know that if it's going to affect me in such a negative way that I question who I am at the end of the day, like I question, like, is all this that I try to utilize to better the world, is it worth it? Then I'm like, okay, wait. I'm still trying to be the best me, and if I can't be the best me and get, like, these people want me to not be better, then I shouldn't have them in my life. And the best thing to do is block them. And I don't know if it's that easy for the younger generations who are like in high school and junior high, if it's as easy for them to understand how blocking somebody is so important. Or if,
It's not just the younger generation, which is why it's so sad. It's adults in our age group,
yeah,
adults even older, who all of a sudden have this technology. And it's worse for teenagers or young kids because they can't comprehend or navigate through some of the bullying or things that are going on. So unfortunately, they commit suicide in their teenage years, which is just not okay and is not addressed at all, you know. And then the whole 22 a day, the suicide of veterans,
right?
is another issue. It goes across everyone, and that's the problem, is everyone is so categorized in being crazy, in being emotional, you know, dramatic, whatever it is, instead of what the actual root problem is. And no one can get the help that they need or talk to the people they need.
And a lot of it has to do with, sadly, the day and age that we live in where technology controls so much of what's going on.
Yeah, or the embarrassment of actually reaching out to someone or posting something. Some people don't have anyone to talk to, so they use social media and they're crying out for help, posting all this sad, depressed stuff, and no one even addresses it. You know, so it's people, I think that's what we do with each other too, and what we're trying to kind of get across is to be more aware to
Right.
people and where their mindset is. People will post stuff like check on your friends, make sure they're okay, your loved ones, but they really don't do it. So it's not just saying it, it's doing it. We get on here and talk to each other whenever necessary,
Yeah.
often just to make sure everything's okay, you know.
Just to
But
vent
it's,
about life or,
yeah, and I'm the type of person, you can ask any of my other friends if something seems off, right? You're the same way. I'll ask, like, hey, what's going on? Like, you made this comment or you said something. What's bothering you? Like, just get to the point, and talking about it just solves the whole issue. Everyone can move on from it however necessary. We can all continue on with our lives and not hold on to it and have this depression because now I'm pissed off at so and so, you know. But you don't talk to each other, you can't read each other's minds.
it'd be a nice trait to have, but
It would be like a blessing and a curse,
oh, for sure. I feel,
because I think we're both pretty intuitive as it is, and I've already, you know, some of the people I'm around all the time, and it's an energy thing, which is why you also have to block people. You don't have time or energy for those types of things when you're actually trying to focus on your mental health,
yeah.
your healthy lifestyle, whatever it may be. You don't, that's such a distraction. And so being able to at least limit those distractions and try to get rid of them, like you say, block, whatever it may be. You can set all these types of things up in your settings. You can just not go on there for years.
Right.
When I was going through
Just
my medical
get
stuff, I
away
just wasn't on social media for 2 years, you know, and then I got better and I felt better and got back on. And it's been a struggle since. I force myself sometimes just to leave my phone somewhere because it's also receiving so many different things on there. We spoke about earlier, we feel so, I don't want to say obligated because we genuinely care about the people in our lives, but we are committed to their well-being and their mental health, physical health, whatever's going on in their lives, that we keep these notifications on and we want to make sure we're there for each other. So when everyone's just constantly, different platforms are having all these notifications or people posted and they want to let you know, and now you don't want to ignore them and acknowledge, like, yes, that's a great picture of you and your kid, you know. Like,
yeah.
so it's a lot of pressure, but it takes each other understanding not to take it so personal or to take it as a part of such a big part of our lives, because now you're going to get mad at someone for not liking your photo. That's crazy. I won't have someone in my life who is that involved in social media, you know?
Right.
It's just unnecessary. It causes crazy unnecessary drama that just has nothing to do with
I
real
was
life.
actually gonna say that, like, I feel like in one of my relationships, social media caused issues. And, like, what the hell? Like, honestly, I never imagined that me responding to a friend on social media who is a male friend of mine could become such an issue. And I feel like it's caused so many issues in relationships of mine that I'm like, dude.
In a lot of people's, but that also goes back to it takes two to do anything. The devious stuff between people. Everyone knows their own intentions. I'm so big on that. You know your own intentions on what you're doing, why you're doing, who you're talking to. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
who
no,
that
honestly,
is.
I have so many guy friends, and I mean, I was raised with boys, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I know that you were raised to be tough too, so I'm not alone in this when I say that I have a lot of male friends. Male friends don't have as much drama as female friends, and it's just, I don't know, easier for me to understand how a male mind works than a female's mind. And I feel like with women, a lot of women, I feel like I have to walk around on eggshells because I'm not 100% sure if they can take my sense of humor or if they can take my brutal
Honesty.
honesty. Where with a guy, I can go tell them exactly where to stick it, you know, when I'm mad at them. And a guy will come back, you know, 5 minutes later and be like, look, I know I was wrong, I'm sorry, and I deserved your reaction. And it is a completely different type of response that I get from males and females. And so I have a lot of male friends, and I feel like a lot of social media has caused so many issues with my relationships because I have male friends. And I'm not the kind of girl who's like flirting with these guys who are my buddies since, you know, I don't know, junior high, elementary school, whatever. Like, they're just a part of my life.
Mhm.
But I guess I date somewhat jealous guys, and I never really came out about one of them who was super jealous about it and got mad at me for literally one of my best friends of my entire life. I talked to Jason like all the time. And I had introduced them and we were just doing our thing. Like, Jason and I talk so much shit to each other, it's just whatever. And when we left that night, he's like, I know you hooked up with him. And I'm going, what? It's freaking Jason, dude. Like, I can't even have this conversation with you. Like, no way.
No, and I think that's people being insecure also because of all this stuff anyways. You know, or sometimes it's a guilty conscience. Unfortunately, that's
Possible.
where my experience comes from. You know, my ex, I mean, all of my three exes kind of use social media in a deceiving way. But more recently, you know, your mind changes and you see things differently or whatever. But with obviously both of us, yes, we have many friends. You can go on our photos and no one's leaving some creepy comments because we don't imply stuff. Our friends who are our male friends have the same
No.
understanding that
Yeah.
they're our friends. Yeah, they're not leaving these like secret, you know, flirty comments under our photos or something. And that's fine if you portray yourself that way. That's just not who we are. So, like, people in our lives, they have their own intentions too. And whenever my ex would get somewhat jealous of social media, and there was not, it was like, oh, you know, just unnecessary stuff. But it's a guilty conscience. It's like, I know what you're doing with your sneaky self on your Instagram. Do not worry about mine. And that was the problem with my ex. It wasn't so much jealousy, but it was him being so sneaky about things. And, you know, you talk to people on there. And so for me, it was like on the other end for of your relationships. I was that person, but I knew for a fact, like, it's
Right.
this is public stuff. You know, my ex would sometimes be like, why are you looking at the comments I leave or this and that? And it's like, it's public. Like, you're not slick, you know, and it just causes all kinds of, because that's
You're not
insulting.
intelligent. No, honestly, I caught one of my exes cheating that way too.
Mhm.
It
Most
was
people
just because,
have, like, that's the weirdest, saddest thing to me. And I probably and I've stressed a few people out, and I know I've spoken to, and this is also like who I am as a person. I don't date around. I've had 3 people in my life who have ever been or seen any type of intimate side of me. So it's funny to me that even at our age, you talked about having MySpace, we're in like high school and stuff. We still have these problems as adults
Right.
because adults can't get it together. They bully each other, they deceive each other. We still have insecurities because grown-ass men and women, men have insecurities too, because women and men are one and the same when it comes to deceit, right? Like it is not prejudice. Like women can just be as bad as men, which is what creates all kinds of problems.
One of
I don't
my
know.
roommates was really mean about a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, who had cheated or whatever. And I remember the situation being like, how can you be somebody who's going to talk shit about this person when you cheat all the time? And I remember that was my reaction to the situation, and they got super pissed. Like, how are you going to talk to me that way? And I'm like, well, I've never cheated. Like, I don't cheat. Therefore, I can understand me having some sort of judgment that way, but I still don't judge other people for doing whatever it is the fuck they're going to do, because
Your
it's your life.
choice.
Yeah, it's your life. You're the one who's making yourself look bad or whatever.
Whatever is making you feel that way. And
Right.
that's the thing from my experience. Most people who are defensive like that and get pissed off, it's because they're liars and they've been caught in a lie and they're so embarrassed because, again, they thought they were being sneaky or slick.
Yeah.
And it becomes insulting because someone like you and I, just because we don't confront it right away or we don't flip out because we're not actually crazy, whatever that means, it doesn't mean we're stupid and unaware. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm trying to understand and come at this situation a little maturely, but
Yeah.
apparently adults can't be mature on social media. That's the whole thing with politics and fake news and conspiracies. You have grown-ups, adults, still bullying each other,
Yeah.
still acting crazy, still being just really rude and even threatening each other. It's just unreal. Social media is so toxic, but yet so helpful if used the right way.
If used the right way, yeah. I mean, there's family members that I have all over the place, you know, because I've traveled so much. I have friends in different countries that social media has given me the chance to keep in touch with these people. You know, I can't be in France every day. So I talk to friends in France and I check in on them. And without social media, I mean, I guess I would use WhatsApp. Because let's be real, texting France is going to cost me some good money. But
And we're
social
past calling cards and having to do stuff like that. We've progressed with technology where we could use this, Zoom, Instagram, Facebook to just call each other and it's free, you know?
well, free-ish. I
Free.
was like, I pay a monthly
Nothing in the world is
to have an
free.
hour.
There's literally nothing in the world that's free other than like the air we breathe, and we pay for that too, you know.
I was gonna say, technically we're paying for that by killing the
Yeah,
world.
maybe not monetarily, but we're paying for it.
Yeah. No, honestly, I do believe that social media has good intentions and bad, just like humans, you know what I mean? We have good and bad in all of us, and it's up to us to decide what we want to be, if we want to be the superhero or the villain. And I will always choose to be the superhero. I always choose to be supportive of my friends, to post whatever it is that they're posting, because it might bring light to somebody else's day or to bring them more successes in their businesses. Because I love the people that I surround myself with. I also do believe that you make those decisions. I know that Lachelle makes those decisions, and that's why you guys are such a big part of my life. And I plan on keeping you there.
Same.
Because I really hope that our conversations in time can start opening the eyes of the world to mental health and to other people's issues, and maybe we can start using social media again for the good instead of allowing it to divide us so much.
Yeah, and you should be able to find out and figure out who in your life, friends or family, you're able to talk to in this sort of manner, the way we're able to feel comfortable and safe to talk to each other. If you don't have a safe space, so unhealthy for your mental health, which is why you feel so alone. And when we feel alone, sometimes it's okay to be alone, but sometimes it's not. And we understand that, and we're there for each other. I have a few other really good friends who I know will be there for me, and I'll be there for them as well. But if you don't have those people in your life and you can't talk to them the way you and I do, no time or energy for that. You've got
Yeah.
to block them on social media and in your real life. And I've had to do that. You've had to do that. You can be straightforward. People know how they're acting. We're adults. You know your own intentions, whether they're good or bad, like you said. It depends on what you're going to act on. Everyone talks so much and acts so differently. So if you can't sit there and talk to people like this, but yet they say, oh, come to me whenever you're feeling sad. If you have a problem, I'll listen. And you try to do that and they totally dismiss it. You need to find someone else and just not go to them anymore. You know, it's just, you've got to have people, like you said, surrounding you who are going to be there for you and who you'll also return that to.
Yeah.
To be, yeah, it takes a tribe to get through life. Yeah.
It does.
Know your vibe, find your tribe.
Nerd.
Good or bad, whether it's good or bad, find who you need to be with, leave everyone else alone, and let everyone just mind their own business. Oh my gosh, life would be so much easier if we all could just be more honest with each other, open with each other,
Less judgmental.
less judgmental. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Yeah. One of the
What
biggest
happened?
things my mom would always say when I was a kid, if you have nothing nice to say, then don't say it. And
We
it's
were
like,
raised on that phrase, treat others how you want to be treated.
simple rules, guys.
Golden rules, live by them if you want to be treated that way too, because there are just some nasty people in the world, and get rid of them.
And the only way to make this world better is to make yourself the best you that you can be.
Yeah, you've got to be aware of your own health to be able to help and understand your loved ones too, right? If I was just losing my mind all the time and in a bad place, I wouldn't be able to sit here and have the space and hold the space for you or my other loved ones who have all kinds of other stuff going on also, which is why it can be overwhelming. But you need to take your space and kind of take the time you need. Just, we got to be honest with each other. Mm-hmm.
I feel like my little sister has said that before. She didn't want to bug me with something because she didn't want. And I'm like, you can never bug me with something. She's like, but you've been through so much. And I always call her my little sister. We are not blood related.
Yeah.
But she knows all of the losses that I've had in my family over the last 5 years, or 5 years, 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
4. I can't do math anymore. 4 years. But 5 people in 4 years, in less than 4 years, it's a lot of people. And she was just like, I just don't want to put more on your plate. And it's, in a way, it is accurate. There's only so much weight shoulders can carry before they break. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't willing to listen and be there for her. But she also made a valid point that I needed to work on healing so much within myself before I tried to help other people, because she knows me well enough to know that I will put everything aside and jump in and like jump into sharks to save her from drowning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'll be there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just who I am. But you're right. We do need to learn to advise people when we have so much going on that we can't handle anymore, and to not react bad if other people can't fully get on board, but they understand, like, hey, look, I know that you're going through some hard shit right now. I am too. I need to like take a step back for a minute. But I want you to know that I do love you. Like, you know,
Right.
there's
Right. Because we each
communication
do
error.
have our, yeah, we each have our own lives also. And I think that's something I work on too. Because like you said, people will tell me, and I don't want someone to feel like they're a burden to me, because that's why we have each other in our lives. But it is nice, like you said, for someone to acknowledge, I know you have a life and going through stuff too. So I've got this going on. Can we talk about it? And it's just going back to like not taking it personal.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling well, or Lachelle, none of us get upset with each other or go on these non-speaking binges. It's the way we need to take care of each other and listen to what we each need.
Yeah. I'm like over here giggling about it. Like, could you imagine if one of us did just like explode on the other one, with all the times that we've all had, like, we're just busy right now, but I'll contact you as soon as I can reactions? Like,
No, it would just be, I'm at a point in my life to where it would just be easier for everyone and healthier to just cut ties,
yeah,
you know, because I won't ever, we've both probably experienced a type of crazy that we don't want to feel ever again. And so to feel upset or to let someone control my emotions after they've probably done wrong, not necessary.
yeah,
It's not good for your mental health. And that's also part of navigating through mental health, is finding out what you should and shouldn't have around you or in your life, and what's causing these maybe onsets of anxiety, panic attacks, depression.
we have to start setting limits, and I think 2020 is that year because we're all dealing with mental struggles, being stuck at home with COVID and all the crazy shit that's going on, and with the election and everything. That is 2020. We're all learning to have our own limits and not be afraid to tell people when they've hit that limit. And I think that that is something positive that we can take out of 2020, like, is that we have found more self-love because we've allowed it, all this negative, to turn into a positive.
It's been a learning year in all kinds of ways, learning about ourselves, learning how to love ourselves. Like you said earlier, learning how to fact check things and research things. We've spent so much time alone or with very few loved ones during this year because of everything going on, that it's given us a chance to be more aware and more informed, which is why I think it's perfect. It's the perfect time to be able to just open up anyways,
Yeah.
and yeah, and say what you need, say what you believe, put it out there. There are people who will connect with you. The ones who don't, you don't need to connect with them, you
They're
know?
not supposed to be a part of your life, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Everybody has to be a part of your life.
right. And it's hard. And I think that's what I've learned growing up, and, you know, leaving people, separating with people, friends, family. It's people come and go, and it's tough, but it's for different reasons. And we just got to learn to, like you said, to navigate and pick and choose what's going to make us our best selves.
I agree. I do
It
think,
sounds so simple, right? Easier said than done. No, but it's just this constant reminder. It's intentional. We got to, and we know this. I mean, I constantly have to remind myself of all kinds of things all day, to not freak out or to calm down or to think through something. It's so intentional and takes so much work,
it
but
does.
it's so much more worth it. And you prevent a lot of the same hurt or stress if you really take the time and work on yourself and on
Allow
the
yourself
people
to
around you.
learn,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of us don't allow ourselves to learn from past mistakes. We just
No, we just keep making them. And it's also just goes back to that because they're not being addressed, whether it's like by you or the people that you're experiencing this stuff with, it's not being talked about or addressed. So we hold on to it and it creates the same patterns and mistakes over and over until we unfortunately learn maybe the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, I've learned a lot of things the hard way, which is why it's now I won't do it again. You know,
Like a lot more cautious.
yeah. And so it's a blessing, but it's a curse too, because it's hard to, like, as we've gotten older, it's hard to remove people from your life for whatever weird reason that you have stuck in your head that you need to make it work or a friendship work. Sometimes you just don't need to. And
Yeah.
like we've spoken about, there's some family members even who you just unfortunately you just cannot be around because it is not okay for your mental health. You've got to be aware of your mental health.
Yeah. You have to learn to put you first.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's better that way.
Yeah.
I think before we call it a day, um, I was thinking like, what are some things that we can be more consciously aware of that we can change the way we utilize social media? Like, I know for me, um, I have decided to put a thing on my phone where I have limited use of apps between the hours of like 7 p.m. and 10 a.m. So I'm actually like not allowed to go on social media between those hours anymore because I have made it impossible.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah, I was like, so I can
That's
still,
commitment.
right? I can still go on the computer and use them if I really have to,
Mm-hmm.
but I will no longer be able to do it on my phone. It does have a little ignore option that I can click on. So if I'm just like being a nerd and researching things on Safari, then it's fine.
Right.
But I have to allow myself to do those things. I don't know, it's been really helpful. I've been using it since I watched The Social Dilemma the other day. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what are other things that we can do so we can consciously start controlling, let's say, the amount of time that we use for social media?
Yeah, like you said, if you're not as willful as you to just not be on there. I try, right? I work during the week, during the day. I really do my best. I'm not going to lie and say I don't go on while I'm at work because I do,
Right.
you know. I try not to, but my thing is setting off the notifications also. You can set it, you know, for different hours. So I think that's a good start. It's
That's
like
good.
set certain notifications, you know, kind of like not make it a part of such every second of every day, you know.
I do
There's
think
not much else you can do. Yeah, I just turn off straight up my notifications. I won't make it where I can't access it because
I
sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to talk to someone or I need to, you know.
I got rid of Facebook Messenger on my phone a while ago, so I'll only check it if I go on Facebook on my laptop, which is like once in a blue moon.
Oh,
But
that's
I've had to tell people over and over again, guys, I don't use Messenger on my phone. I just had to get rid of it, or the alerts drive me bonkers. Uh,
yeah.
I've had Facebook notifications turned off since I think 2016, since my brother died, because it was just so overwhelming to constantly see posts of my brother. Um, and then it became my grandpa, and then my other brother, and then my grandma, and then Alex, and I was just like, ah. So it's just better for me to not have those notifications mentally, and I did notice that. As for Instagram, I think the only notifications I have are for messages.
Yeah, no, and I think that's just the best thing in general is to just intentionally try to set it to where it's necessary or when you actually have some free leisure time to be just scrolling through the internet on social media. You know, if people need to get a hold of you, they'll get a hold of you.
Right. We all have cell phones. We all have phone numbers. We can get text messages. Um, I do think if you are part of that, I keep going back to the younger generation and bullying in school. Please block. please, please, please block these people that are bullying you, because they are not worth your time. They are not worth you taking your life. There's so many people in this world that love you and care about you. And I know that had I injured myself when I was younger because of bullies at school, my parents and my family would have been so devastated. And so I am a part of a group that's called Stand for the Silent on Facebook, and I think they're a great group to be a part of, especially if you are a kid who is being bullied in school. So if you are being bullied, check out Stand for the Silent, open up about what's happening to you, tell your parents, stand up for yourself, and don't allow them to bring you to the point of suicide, because it's not worth it. Yeah. On that note, we will call it a day. Thank you guys so much for watching Navigating Mental Health Stigma, and we hope that you have a good week.